Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Good
Morning.
morning.
Grand Rise.
It's another day in the neighborhood, another day to be good neighbors. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Feeling a little bit nostalgic. So we'll go ahead and ask Alderman Pertee, the newlywed, to. Y'all still married, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything is good.
Lead us in prayer.
All right, thank you. If you would, go to prayer with me, please. Heavenly Father, creator of all that is known and unseen, we come to you today in times of uncertainty and division. We seek guidance and wisdom to make decisions for our community. Lord, keep us grounded in love and compassion as we serve our community and as we serve you. Lord, we pray for unity in our meeting, unity within our community, and unity within our nation. God, help those who use your name and word to harm others to understand that we must lift up the most vulnerable, the most marginalized or overlooked members of our community and nation, such as the poor, the sick, the hungry, or the imprisoned. God, we know that you said, whatever you do to the least of these, you do to me. Finally, Lord, we know that life is short, and we do not have much time to gladden the hearts of those who make this journey with us. So let us be swift to love and make haste to be kind. And the blessing of God who makes us, who loves us, and who travels with us be with us now and forever. In the name of God the Creator, Christ the Redeemer, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all very much. So, thank you all for joining us. Today I'm going to use a little colloquialism, and when I was growing up, they called this, well, there's a term called put up or shut up.
That's right.
And so today I'm going to call Put Up or Shut Up Day. We have asked the city manager and team to explore a variety of initiatives, not only from our retreat, but also through our strategic plan. Staff has gone back, researched those items. They have presented to us regarding those things. And they're now at a decision point of whether to go forward or to leave things as they are. I want to thank Ms. Melder and the team for the diligence and doing what council has asked you to do as it relates to these things. And now we just have to, now we're at the fork of the road, so to speak, in which we have to determine where do we go from here. So, Mr. Manager, I think that is hopefully codifies what our discussion is today. It'll be more reviewing where we've been so that we can determine and give direction about how to move forward. The only other thing I wanted to make sure, do we have a need for exec today? Mr. Attorney? Yes, sir. Mr. Manager? Yes, Mr. Clerk? Okay, so.
Mr. I have some questions that I'd like to ask Mr. Bates, if we could.
Mr. Bates, in terms of exec?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what would it fall under?
Personnel.
Okay. All right, so, is this something you need to ask, you could just ask him directly, or does the council? Yeah,
Well, I wanted buy-in, but if I can talk to him personally.
well,
each can have
yeah,
one.
find out, and then if there's a need, then we'll do it that way.
Okay.
All right, so, Mr. Manager.
Thank you. I like your term for it, Mayor, put up or shut up, but I think, I called it the Workshop Roundup. These are gonna be some things that we have discussed, in workshop, either recently, or in some cases dating back, several years. That TV is, can we look to see why there's not, above you, Joe? The
don't think
TV
it's
there
on.
is not presenting, thank you. We'll try to get that fixed, Alderwoman.
Thank you.
So we want to talk about the Public Art Master Plan, which was presented in workshop several months ago. City Council had some feedback for city staff, and we want to come back to talk about how we've addressed that feedback and whether or not council wants to move forward with the Public Art Master Plan. our parking matter study, which we workshopped a few months ago as well, and to give an update on where we've been with some community engagement and discussions with stakeholders around the extension of parking enforcement in the city, and for council to know what to expect going forward this summer. Many years ago, there was the discussion of a Forsyth master plan that was created by a local nonprofit. At the time, that plan was not adopted by council, was not considered for adoption by council, but we have used it as a guide in many of the improvements and work that we have done with the with Forsyth Park, and have heard from several neighborhood stakeholders that it might be time to revisit whether or not we want to adopt this master plan, which has guided that vision. And then the River Street Vision Plan, which was created by the Community Improvement District of the Savannah waterfront. I know that I think all of council members have met with Ms. Julie Musselman, who's the executive director of the Community Improvement District, to go over that vision plan. The goal would be for, they have gifted that vision plan to the city to do with what it wishes. My goal and recommendation would be for us to adopt that vision plan so that we can get to work on the River Street redevelopment, which is a part of our hotel, motel, tourism product development dollars. And then a revisit on our housing toolkit workshop, and to talk through some of the issues and ordinance amendments that we've recently sent to MPC as the first step. So what we're looking for today is some, Mayor, as you said, direction from council on whether or not we want to bring these action items to council, and when we'd like to do that, so that we can either get these off of our plate and implement them, or move on to the next thing. So with that, I want to bring up our Assistant City Manager, Taffany Young, who will begin the discussion on our public art master plan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I want to take you all back in time to when this presentation was done. We had consultants that were here, and you all heard from Stuart Miller, who is now at this point retired about a week or so ago. And so I am pinch hitting. At that point, I was also acting city manager. Our city manager was out of town, and we had a very robust conversation about the public art master plan, and we heard clear direction and guidance from council. And so I'm hoping that today we're coming back on the concerns that you all addressed and have made modifications to the plan, and hopefully with your blessing, we'll be able to place it on the upcoming agenda in 2 weeks. Okay. So we always start with Savannah GPS, and the Public Art Master Plan is actually listed specifically within the Savannah GPS plan under Goal 2, Invest in Equitable Community Development and Resiliency. It falls under Objective 3, Celebrate Savannah's Unique and Diverse Cultures by promoting the arts and celebrating our diverse communities. We have a strategy that was adopted, develop, and implement a public art master plan, and this project is specifically about that plan's adoption. A quick recap of November 13th workshop. That workshop included describing to you in the public about public art master plan, what it is, and why Savannah is in a perfect position to have one in place. We went over the 5 sections of the plan. You'll recall that there was a proposed governance structure. I know that you had some concerns there. And there were also some administrative recommendations around staffing where you also expressed some concern. And so these were the 3 areas that I got robust feedback on, and kind of did a recap and said we would come back to you. So we appreciate the opportunity to come back and let you know what we've done with your feedback. The first area was governance. You might recall that the original plan suggested that we create a public art commission. And council pushed back on that and said, well, wait a minute, don't we already have a commission that council appoints? We're creating a whole nother bureaucracy around that. And is that really necessary? That was one point. The second one, you were very concerned that there was a plan that if you adopted it as is, would have created another administrator level position. And we really did not have proof that that was necessary at that point. So you were asking for that to be addressed. And then finally, and last but not least, certainly, the biggest conversation was about the role of residents. That throughout that presentation and in the plan document that you had at the time, it was not clear where residents were as a part of the process, and you wanted to make sure that they were in the driver's seat. So I'm excited to tell you what we've done with each one of those. Okay, so concern number one was the governance structure. And over in my orange box, you can see that that was a specific concern that you had, that you already have a citizen-led, council-adopted Cultural Affairs Commission. And can't we use the existing commission to implement the art program? So the revised plan has received that recommendation and has been amended to create a standing public art committee under the existing Cultural Affairs Commission. We did a little homework, and the Cultural Affairs Commission was actually established by ordinance in 1979. Their charge clearly then and now has been to advocate for the creation, promotion, and expansion of art, culture, and historical opportunities to be enjoyed by residents. And certainly public art falls under the charge that you already have for that group. And so we wanted you to know that we heard you, and that has now been changed to follow the guidance of council. The second area of concern was the creation of a new administrator-level position. You felt that your adoption of a plan should not automatically trigger the creation of additional staff in an isolated way, and that needed to be a justified cost. The program would be too new, and how could we know that we would need a full-time position? So the public art administrator position has been removed from the plan. The program will be administered by the Cultural Resources Director and the staff that we have now. And as you can see under my second bullet, any future funding requests for staff will be based on documented need, and we will go through the same process as every other department. We know that council every year in the budget process is faced with tough decisions about what we want to support, and putting that position in the plan would have placed it ahead of any other need. And so we have removed it from the plan as you directed us to, and we'll have existing staff to administer the program. At such time that the program grows to a level where we may need additional staff, that will be the normal justification, and it'll compete like every other decision you're having to make during budget season. So that's the second area where we heard you and have pulled that position out of the public art master plan. The third area, and where I wanted to concentrate the most attention, was the area where you gave me the most feedback, and that was, where are residents in this plan? You wanted it to be clearly designated throughout the plan, their role, and that their role would be to lead. So now the plan has been amended to include at every level the leadership of residents. 4 key areas are the call for artist process, the artist selection process, guidance to the artist that's been selected about what they want to see, and even design feedback for the artist. There were also questions about the outreach, excuse me, that we undertook in creating the plan. And so these are just some examples of what that process looked like, including a memo when we began initiating the community input process to council. One of the things that you all said to us at the initiation of the public art planning process was that you were pleased that we weren't just hosting 1 or 2 meetings for residents to come to, and that we broke it down by district. So as you can see from this slide, not only were flyers distributed throughout community meetings, through our neighborhood associations, posted at our community centers, but we also advertised opportunities in the local press, put it on city websites, and pushed it out through our social media. We did not hold 1 or 2 meetings. We held many meetings across every district. We had virtual meetings online, we had in-person focus groups, we had surveys and so forth. And you may also recall that there then was a community engagement report. And that report in its entirety will be in the appendix of the plan so that people will be able to see the very specific feedback that we received from residents. Now, the more important question has been, what is their role moving forward? And so this is the part that I'm really excited to share with you. We have several points of engagement, and I think you'll see how now we have moved residents to be at the center. So the very first step of the process is a call for artists, which is what we typically call a request for proposals, the RFP. We have included our residents in the development of the RFP so that they're able to say the type of art that they want to see, where they want to see it, what types of themes or characteristics about the culture, the historical values, the assets within that area that they want to have captured in the art. And we want to make sure that that's represented in the request for artists so that we're getting the right people in place on the front end. The second point of engagement for residents is going to be serving on the artist selection committee. So not only will they help to craft the RFP, but they'll also be a part of the process to select the artist. The 5-member panel for each public art project would include 2 residents from that immediate area within that district, within that neighborhood, so that we have in-person representatives who can scrutinize and evaluate the various artists and their proposals. The third point of engagement is when we have selected the artist. Each artist will be required to come and meet with the community in public meetings to get very direct feedback about what they would like to see in terms of the style of the art, again, those significant themes where we're now hearing from a broader audience of residents versus the 2 or 3 people that may have been involved in the panel. They will seek their guidance from the community before they design the artwork. The fourth point of engagement will be after they have come up with examples, designs of what could be the potential artwork. They will bring that back into public meetings so that the community can weigh in and see whether or not they have done a good job of capturing what they wanted to see within the art. This slide represents just an example of what that process would look like. So phase 1, project ideation and planning. You can see the text in red. Residents would suggest that vision. They would state those goals. They would help us to get support throughout the community for that particular project. They will identify the locations and assist with the analysis. Artist selection, as I mentioned before, residents will provide guidance on their interests and be a part of the selection process to pick the artist. Phase 3, project implementation, even including to the point of installation oversight. We have ensured that resident liaisons will be representative as a part of that installation process so that the project just doesn't disappear. You know, typically it takes time for these projects to get implemented, and oftentimes residents may hear about something and then it's radio silence, and they don't see anything until suddenly someone is digging in the road and work is underway. We've amended the process to ensure that there's a resident liaison who will be there at each step of the installation process so they're able to take that information back to the community. And then finally, post-installation is just as important when the artwork is in place. We want to be able to have conversations with that community and have the community to drive how residents in the larger community can interact with that art. The goal is that those spaces will be opportunities for additional programming moving forward. And so I'm hopeful that with this, you all are able to see that we went from you not being able to see where they were represented very much to placing them in the driver's seat of artwork within the community. And with that, our next steps, if you all approve and feel like this is a satisfactory response in terms of the guidance you provided me in November, we would like to be able to move forward with these next steps. And I would like at this point to invite Ms. Ashley up, our Community Services Chief, because my role in providing the presentation was that this was something that was really under me, but now there is a new chief, and what you see on here would be the steps moving forward. So give her an opportunity to come up and speak.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here and hopefully to help move our public art here in the greatest city, Savannah, forward. So our hope is that we will be able to place the public art master plan for you all's public approval on our June 11th council meeting. Should that be approved, then our next steps would be to work on a public art policy development and finalization, which is that formalization of the public art program that our assistant city manager just walked you all through. Then the Public Art Committee formation under the existing Cultural Affairs Commission can begin, and then we would be able to start initiating the public art program as it stands.
And with that, Mr. City Manager?
Thank you. So we'd love to get some feedback on whether or not we've met your concerns about the public art master plan, if you're ready to consider it, or if there's some additional work that council would like us to undertake.
Well, I'll start. Thank you for the work. I'm a fan of public art. We know that great cities have great public art opportunities. I think listening to the concerns of council, it seems like you've heard those and that you've made significant, I won't say concessions, but changes to be able to really incorporate the public more involved in the public side of the public art. So, I mean, I'm fine, but council, yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes.
Really, completely agree that, apologies running for just a moment behind, dealing with put out another fire, everything's all right. But certainly, thank you for the improvements and listening to the feedback that residents in my district are actively looking to engage in this process and bring some of that public art and activation, especially to the south side, with parks and recreation amenities, and looking to have some fun too. So thank you so much for continuing the work.
Alderwoman Miller Blakely had a question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you all so much for this presentation, and thank you all for listening to what it was that we were concerned about. I have a question on the second point of engagement, the Public Art Artist Selection Committee, where it says the 5-member panel for each public art project would include 2 residents from immediate areas. So that's going to be 7 people. In each area that you go to, you're going to get 2 artists, 2 residents from that area. Is that what you all are saying?
Yes.
Okay, so these are going to take place at different intervals and different times.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Based on where that art will be placed, we will recruit from either the neighborhood association or receive guidance from either council. In our policy, we'll be able to detail that out as the program is put together in detail. But yes, the goal is to have a 5-member panel and have 2 of the members on that panel be residents so that they are selecting who they want to see do that
So
artwork.
that panel will change every time there's a different location?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
that's what I want to be
Yes,
clear on.
yes.
And like Alderman Palumbo said, you know, the south side, we need y'all to definitely come out there because a whole lot of stuff is focused downtown, midtown, and, you know, and not a whole lot is going on down on the south side. So we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Shabazz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, and Assistant City Manager, and staff. Thank you all so much again for listening to our concerns and then coming back with stellar responses. One thing that I do know is that when we engage our community and have them involved, and especially, great job, y'all, especially with having our citizens move forward with us and not coming in the middle or just handing something out to our public and saying, this is what we've thought about and we think this is good for you and this is what we're going to do. So thank you all so much. This is great work, and for me, I am excited about moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, also. Thank you, Taffany, and thank your team also for at least hearing what we had to say and go back and do the homework. But as you all know, the first, second, and third district, and primarily the second district, is the gateway to the rest of the city. So a lot of things that happen coming from the first district, we're looking forward to the thoroughfares being highlighted as far as public art. So when people go to our main arteries and they're traveling south, they have to go through our main arteries and main part of these communities. I want something that's there that's gonna highlight what they're seeing to really be a gateway to the rest of the city. So we're looking forward to stretching what's happening downtown out to the south side, but people won't know it's there. So this is our contribution to GPS. We're sending people to the south side by putting public art to send people there. And I appreciate the collective opportunity for the community members to be a part of it. But we really want to have a lot of transparency when it's each step that happens. Each panel that's put together, we want to make sure that not only the neighborhood associations, but just some people who just sit on the front porch, just anybody that's going to have a say-so to it, because those are the people that have to live there. And we look forward to having a conversation with our neighborhood associations, but we want to have Leader Coleman's office and those folks to continue to engage us at the neighborhood level at our meetings. So we look forward to it, really. And we see some inklings of the master plan happening with some of our electrical boxes being wrapped, but that's just one portion of it. So we really, and I like that that street art that they have in the college. What is that? Cloverdale? That's beautiful. I like it over there. So.
But I do hear you, and I'm writing down, you all know every time I'm in front of you, I'm writing down the notes of what you're saying.
That's the type of thing that we're looking at, and when we advocate for public parks, and people don't know how to get there until we put some stuff there that are highlighted. And I'm glad that one of our neighborhood presidents are here to see this type of thing that we are advocating for, that we've been advocating for, is really coming to life.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Anybody? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Morning.
Just a couple of questions. How many can the residents from each district have as public art? Do we have a number for that?
How many individuals?
How many places in our districts, each district, will there be public art? The same thing that you have here.
Well, you know what? We did a survey of locations and got feedback from residents of where they want it. I can try to pull that up, but I don't have a number.
Well, this is a question that we can come back to, because I want it to be equitable, and I would like specifically to my district to be in some of the places that we don't normally go to. When we talk about engaging, I mean, people normally, if they get some of the smaller things, they will wait for the bigger things because they believe that you're listening. And so I don't know how you're going to select those, but are the district aldermen going to be involved with that? Because I would want the main ones to be where there are children and there are elderly people, right? But people that do sit on that porch can say, this is what the city, because a lot of them don't watch these meetings and they don't have Facebook and social media, and so we want them to see this is what's going on. And so I think that is an ultimate decision on our part to get us engaged, because when they see those little things, maybe they might pay attention to the other things and getting involved with the budget and how we spend our money and how we vote for these things. And the public hearings that we're hearing, that we're seeing, I think that if we can do some things that people actually want to see, then that will get them to come to these meetings to get more things for their community. Thank you for that piece.
Thank you so much for.
If I could add on to that too, Alderwoman Wilder, I think that you're right. Right now, you know, this is a city of art, but the city right now does public art piecemeal, where we have opportunities, perhaps where we have grants, where we're working with private entities or other community-based organizations to try to help out. The purpose of the public art master plan is to be more intentional about public art and to have a process and a facilitation and the Arts and Cultural Affairs committee to be able to help drive that conversation, be intentional. So every piece of public art that the city would budget and plan for would be essentially approved by City Council in our budget documents. If there were large pieces of public art that came forward that needed certain commissions or contracts to do, City Council would be the decider on those issues. This public art master plan gives us a process by which we can be intentional and raise those recommendations to City Council for consideration and know exactly how much public money we want to put into creating public art.
And if I might add, we go to these municipal trainings because we hear other conversations about what people are doing in their community. And maybe if we offered a moratorium to some of these people who tag and get them involved, and maybe we can include them, give them an out, just one specific place where they can go tag their rumps off, but know that they're involved and say they're not gonna be prosecuted, because we have a problem. I know we have in the third, they're tagging everything. You go and paint, then, so we need to let them know they're not gonna be prosecuted. We're not gonna, but if we can help you, get some of the steam where, if that's your, your advocacy or your concerns, and that's how you're addressing things in this city, then come on and work with us, because they have some really nice taggers here.
And I think that's an absolutely great policy idea. There are places in the U.S. that have mural committees, which are essentially, folks who do street art and who used to tag, but the city created spaces and places for them to exercise their art in a much more prominent and better way.
Yeah, we want to offer solutions.
I think this helps get
Two quick points I want to raise. The first one is to Alderwoman Miller Blakely's and to Alderman Palumbo. The benefit of having a strategic plan, particularly with equity baked in, equity is also location. And so the fact is, because it's coming out of a strategic plan, the equity ethos kind of help drive that, which is why it'll be much more spread out, which I think is really important. The only change, there is a change, I think. I think that wherever we have residents involved, if it's 2 here, 2 there, I think that we should have an equal amount of individuals under the age of 21. Because what adults think are cool, kids don't think is cool.
Yes.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but grandmama up there, I think that's nice, baby. I don't think that's the same.
No, I'm a grandma. No, they not.
It's not the same. And so, you're creating cross-age collaboration, but you're also validating these young people to say, this is your community too. And so you should have a voice in what happens here. And I think if we're intentionally bringing them in at the front of it, I think, we get them involved in government, we get them involved in the process. And these are the recipients of the legacies that we're passing off. So I think we should, for most of our policy, let's get them in, let's be intentional that if you have your whole life in front of you, you need to be on some of these things. And so I think that would be a way also to address the equity piece.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Mayor, because when we talk about diversity, sometimes we exclude age, and that's part of being diverse too, especially in our community, when we want them to be engaged, especially young people. Thank you for that, sir.
So if y'all are supportive of that, I would like to be added. Alderman Lanier.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you all for the presentations. Congratulations. The changes you made were definitely in sync with what council recommended and requested back in fall. I remember that meeting because we talked about several things and our approach. And we talk about creative placemaking, and you all know what that is. And staff, you all know it, and you have employed that here, and that's a good thing. There were some things going on in Savannah, including how we approach art, and people didn't like it, and we didn't like it. We know we could do better. So we needed to, like the mayor said, approach these in a policy way. And that's what we have done. And that's why we needed a community benefit strategic approach, which is our GPS. We needed that type of approach that is resident-driven, citizen-led, and that's what we're seeing here. We needed to go into our different areas and create more livability in the different areas, and so we know we needed to use creative placemaking, which is driven by art, where you go into an area and you apply policy solutions, and it's driven by art because you're trying to create for different outcomes. And that's what we are doing now. We are being intentional about using these policy initiatives so we could create different outcomes in these areas. And I'm looking forward to seeing these outcomes. When we were working with the arena committee, and I think we used a lot of the first district trial and error to come up with what a lot of you all are doing here, because we took, because of the Canal District and opportunities in the first district, we've been doing some public art initiatives like on Augusta Avenue, and I'll be sending you something on that because the artist is calling because he doesn't like the condition. And I'm glad you all are putting the maintenance piece in there, because that wasn't included, and you know what we went through with Jerome, and the artists do not like to see their artwork looking shabby after they install their artwork, and that's what's been happening. So I see we got that, you're addressing that, and so the artist is gonna have to be included some type way on how we approach the maintenance, so we won't compromise, the art. So I see you took all of that, into consideration. In Cloverdale, you learn a lot over there, and I heard it in your approach about how we need to approach residents' participation, and I think we're on top of that right now. And at the arena, we wanted the children from the area to be involved, and so in several of those pieces over there on that trail, the children from the community had opportunity. So I see over here on phase 2, where you have the residents to provide guidance, and so I see y'all have an opportunity to get involved with the school children and that kind of thing, so.
Yeah, they can be a part of the actual creation of the art, and so that would be up to the community if they
buy-in
want to
that
help
they're
actually
talking
create
about.
it.
And the last thing, how many people, do you know how many people there are on the public art committee right now?
We would actually be forming that under, with your blessing if you adopt the plan. So these are our recommendations.
On
It's
the
not
cultural
been
affairs though, because these people are gonna come from the already in place cultural affairs,
There would be a committee formed under that.
under them.
Yeah.
I think it's 28 on the
Oh,
cultural.
is that big?
Yeah.
It's a big,
The largest one?
it's a big committee. Well, I think Keep Savannah Beautiful is the only one that's bigger than that.
And they have a junior commission as well.
Right.
Great.
Yes.
All right, so that's it, thank you so much, good job.
All right, so, yes, ma'am. Well, let me, Alderwoman Bell.
I guess I didn't hear that, I'll tag on to what Alderwoman Lanier said. So the Public Arts Committee will come from the existing Cultural Arts Commission?
The way that we have it structured, what we're proposing is that there'll be a standing committee under the Cultural Affairs Committee that's appointed by council, but the standing committee will be expanded to pick up residents so that they can serve on that committee as well. So it will not be insular just to the folks that were, yeah, because we know that art changes depending on where the community, we heard you. So we want to make sure that we have, residents will serve on that committee. From there, when we are ready to do art, there'll then be an artist selection committee, and we'll be working with the RFP, and that's very much centered around the community where that art is going.
And from this morning's discussion, you'll be intentional in selecting youth as well.
Right, with that feedback, yep, we got that down. We will make sure that that's a part of the policy that's gonna get into the nuts and bolts of how this is carried out.
And I might even make a recommendation that the committee itself be made up in part by the Arts and Culture Commission as well as the Junior Commission as well.
Okay.
So that the Junior Commission can also help lead in identifying the other youth members that are coming from the community.
Will do.
So, ladies and gentlemen, in football, when you've made sufficient forward progress and you've made the first down, Mr. Leggett, what is the sign you do for first down?
The sign we do for first down.
So if you feel they made a first down and we're authorizing them, giving consensus for them to move forward, give the sign for first down.
Your first
Anybody?
and 10 too.
All right. All right, so
Thank you.
go forward.
We will have the Public Art Master Plan up.
Well, we ain't touched down yet. No.
All right, what we got to
No,
prep for?
We will
no.
agendize approval of the Public Art Master Plan with these specific changes around youth involvement for the first meeting in June. Thank you very much, council.
All right.
Thank you, team, for the wonderful feedback.
Now, we just bought this TV.
We did. It's just a.
Take it back to Best Buy and get it back on,
We'll get that worked out. I think it's just a,
Yeah.
I bet there's gonna be some magic that happens.
I hate to complain.
we got the right people here, so.
We got 2 degrees, hot and cold. Right now, it's kind of hot.
I know it. We do. It's, this room in particular. This room in particular. So as we continue to try to work out and listen, if we're not able to fix this TV during workshop easily, let's just make sure that by the next time we're here, it's working. Let's give an update on the Savannah parking matters. We've got Kim Sanderson, who is a leader with our parking and mobility services, as well as Chief Faye DeMassimo. And just to give a brief recap, parking matters, the first parking matters was adopted years ago, which established parking regulations in our highest parking demand areas, which is downtown. We've gone back to do a parking matters study 2 because parking demand has increased in the urban core and has called for an expansion of our parking restrictions and policies that are geared towards protecting parking for residents, and we'll give an update on where we are with the discussions with stakeholders and with City Council's approval, continue marching down the path for hopefully a consideration of an ordinance in August. So with that, Kim.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm here for, sitting in for Sean Brandon. He has some big shoes that I'm trying to fill today. The parking matters plan, as you know, it started 10 years ago. Oh, thank you. And we were unable at that time to get approval to do any changes at all on and south of Liberty Street. So a couple of the neighborhood groups got together and asked us to revisit that. So we resurrected it, we completed it, and now we're moving forward with meeting with the stakeholders. We've met with St. Vincent's Academy. Sorry. We've met with St. Vincent's Academy. We've met with the temple, the executive staff at the synagogue. And they have similar needs. I believe that we're going to be able to work out some things with them. We haven't made any formal recommendations yet because we are internally now deciding what those might be, what those might look like, and move those up the chain for approval.
Can you go back, please, to the...
Oh, sorry.
So just to dig down into this a little bit deeper, Kim highlighted 2 specific institutional uses. One, the St. Vincent's Academy, obviously, which is a high school downtown, and parking is a need for that high school. Currently, we accommodate that by having a kind of smattering of unrestricted spaces in and around St. Vincent's School so that the students have places to park that are not metered. Which has been helpful for the students, but also causes some issues with residents because people who want to park downtown know that those are unmetered spots. So when students aren't in those spots, you see commercial vehicles in those spots, you see non-residents parking in those spots, and they can park there for as long as they'd like to park because it's unrestricted. So as we've gone through this second iteration of Parking Matters study, we needed to really look closely at some of the decisions that were made 10 years ago to help support St. Vincent's, but know that the dynamics have changed and the demand has increased and the need for parking protections for residents has also increased. I think, and I'm not, and somebody can stop me if I'm speaking out of turn, I think that we've been able to work with St. Vincent's on a workable solution that would involve some type of sticker that would allow a set of their students to be able to park downtown in these metered spaces during school hours. And then that would relieve the problem that's solved when they're not there and we have unrestricted spaces that then aren't protected for residential use. Mikveh Israel, and of course, there's many churches downtown that share a parking need for Sunday. We have not generally enforced parking on Sunday mornings for churches downtown because of that issue. We did have a new code compliance officer a couple weeks ago, really doing their job out there and giving some parking tickets, but we were able to clear that up. And so those are some of the issues that we're working through with parking stakeholders and specifically our institutions downtown, specifically St. Vincent's and some of our churches. So I think that we're in a place where, from a policy perspective, we're hitting the right mark. Now, we may hear from stakeholder groups that they prefer it the way that it is, but remember that those are not the only stakeholders that use parking in these areas, and the whole purpose of Parking Matters is to protect residential parking and to create churn in those spaces. And the way that you create churn in those spaces is by regulating them and metering them so that people move spaces.
Let me just add and ask you to finish the thought that because if churn does not happen, what happens?
Then there's no parking.
Right.
So we want to create an ability for when people are trying to park downtown, especially residents who are coming home, they can reasonably, in a block or two, be able to find an open space. We also want, when people are visiting these areas, that they can reasonably, in a block or two or three within their destination, find a space because spaces are continually opening up. We also want to make sure that we're creating the type of structured parking that's available in these spaces, and the city is doing that as well. And those spaces will be cheaper than the metered parking spots. So you're incentivizing parking in garages downtown versus street parking. So this is, as Sean told us and our consultants told us, and Kim will tell us today, like this parking is a science, and it's deployed in urban areas all across the U.S. We're applying that science here. Currently, we do it only really in the landmark historic district, but the need is now to expand those restrictions further along the urban core of the city. Did I cover everything, Kim?
Yes, sir, you
Okay.
did.
All right, I want to make sure that council understands the level of engagement. This slide here just shows you, where the stakeholder groups, some of the most active stakeholder groups in this discussion, what their issues are. Council pointed out rightly when we brought this workshop to you all a few months ago that Whitaker and Drayton Street and the traffic pattern there continues to be a concern or a hope from many of our stakeholders, that the ability to rethink Whitaker and Drayton might be a possibility. So you'll see that up on the stakeholder group's concerns, but you'll.
Say that again. To redo what?
There have been long-standing advocacy by neighborhood groups that the kind of thoroughfares that are created by Whitaker and Drayton being 2 lanes one way, similar to Stephen and Anderson going east and west, that they kind of create a highway scenario along these urban cores. And the advocacy has been, is there a way to single lane Drayton and Whitaker, create bike lanes and walking paths in the other lanes, et cetera?
No.
I think the from a traffic standpoint is, there are once the ML, and this is all kind of tied together to the grid pattern, right? We've got a plan which we'll talk about at council There's an item on the agenda related to the MLK flyover removal. When the flyover removal comes down, Montgomery Street can change back to a two-way traffic street. It won't have to be one-way again there. You'll open up some additional north-south travel lanes. So I just want to make sure that council's aware of the connectiveness of all of these issues, especially when we talk about north-south travel in the urban core. But I do want to point out, I'm just pointing out that issue because it is something, and I know Alderman Leggett can talk about it a lot. It is an issue that comes up in many of our neighborhood associations downtown about the desire to see changes along Drayton and Whitaker. And then you see the parking challenges as well that some of our neighborhood associations are seeing, and they're like us to focus more on residential parking, which in effect, Parking Matters study is really focused on that.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know we've not implemented this yet, and it's going to be eventually. So will we be putting parking on Whitaker and Drayton if we're changing it to a one-lane?
Yeah. Well, that's not a part of I don't want to be clear that the Whitaker and Drayton Street proposals from neighborhood associations or others are not part of the Parking Matters plan. So that would need to be considered down the road by council if we were making changes to the traffic pattern of Drayton and Whitaker. I was just simply pointing out.
That's why I'm
That's right.
asking.
I'm mentioning it because many of the Parking Matters stakeholders in our stakeholder meetings around Parking Matters are linking the parking also to the traffic patterns along Drayton and Whitaker. So I'm just pointing that out, that's a lot of the feedback that we're receiving from our stakeholders when we're out there talking about Parking Matters. But Parking Matters does not address the traffic patterns on Drayton and Whitaker. It really impacts the parking that on the off streets of Whitaker and Drayton, and what sections of those streets are going to be metered, et cetera. And I think if you'll recall, we went through that whole plan several months ago in the workshop. We talked, there were 3 different zones that moved north and south and different parking recommendations for policies there. We can revisit that and I'll share that plan back with council, but that was the workshop that we had. Workshop's direction to staff at the time was to continue to work with these institutional stakeholder groups, St. Vincent's and others, continue to work with neighborhood associations to move through the plan, because when you considered it, you wanted to know all of the pros and cons and all of the concerns that the stakeholder groups have. So that's what we're collecting, and that's what that slide was really trying to show council is when we're talking to these stakeholder groups, these are the concerns and the issues that they see with parking. I think that for the most part, the Parking Matters study, and I'm looking at some of our neighborhood leaders who are in the room, is generally supported in the neighborhood associations where the Parking Matters study is impacting mostly. And so we want to continue to have those engagements, and what we're wanting to update council on is that we're going to be ready for council to review an ordinance that expands parking restrictions based on the recommendations of Parking Matters by August 1. And
I have to say this, because I'm at large. When you start talking about Drayton Street and Whitaker Street and what have you, and you talk about your stakeholder groups, I would like to see the city residents all over the city involved when it comes to talking about Drayton Street and Whitaker Street, not just the stakeholder groups, because I'm looking at this area, and this is mainly Victorian Victorian Neighborhood Association, Thomas Square, Forsyth Park, Park Avenue Businesses, Downtown Neighborhood Association, Tourism Leadership Council, Savannah College of Art and Design. Everybody in the city uses Drayton, and Whitaker.
Yeah.
So I want to see the people
Yes, ma'am.
engaged in what we do with
Well,
that.
Yes,
Just,
ma'am.
okay?
Of course, and
All right.
again, parking
so I want to make
matters.
sure though,
does not-
that we, right, I was going to say, make sure we stay focused on what we are, the matter at hand. The matter at hand is, not traffic, but about parking. I will tell you, in my history, I've, at least 2 occasions, we have looked at parking on Drayton and Whitaker. It just never, ever really worked out. I mean, you become like Bay Street, even with the
Yeah.
parking there now. I don't know. I mean, the other day I felt like every time I looked out and you're trying to open your door on Bay Street and you just see trucks barreling down. You know, so I mean, I think your point is well taken, just not right now. But I do think that if ultimately,
Well, he mentioned it. And
Right,
because
no, I'm
you
saying,
mentioned it,
right.
Yes,
That's
and-
why.
and
If
I-
we're talking about it, let's talk about it.
And I didn't mean to expand it, I just wanted to let folks know, because I know that, you know, for Alderman Leggett and others who, and, you know, the 4th District who, you know, really use Drayton, everybody. That's right.
well, I mean, I just think, you know,
Yeah.
I think for us though, it's just important. I don't want us to the major and the minor thing today. But, you know, the restriction of being in a historic city with a historic grid is that we are very limited, particularly on our north-south options. You know, there's not many of them. And certainly
Yeah,
our east-west
but Mr.
options.
Mayor, we,
One moment. So, I mean, I think, you know, that is, the traffic thing is another whole, you know, direction that we probably need to
Yeah.
take up. The other issue I wanted to bring up is, and I see what your next steps are. I do think that there is an extreme opportunity for us that I'm not sure we are paying much attention to. And that is an educational opportunity to incentivize public transportation and rideshare. You know, the way people are moving is different than it was before. And so if we have more reliable means, if it's easier for me to take the bus to get to where I need to be, then let's be partners in saying, hey, public transportation is an option for you that's reliable and gets you closer. You don't have to even worry about parking. When I'm in New York, I don't drive to Midtown Manhattan because it doesn't make sense. It's much easier, much more convenient to do it that way. And if there are ways that we can program or create ways for rideshare hubs, then again, it makes it much easier for rideshare opportunities to get to me quicker, sooner, that I don't have to drive. People park and they think they park because for them right now, that's the easiest way for them. And I just think there are some easier ways. We have to highlight them. We have to create those opportunities. Alderman Leggett.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. City Manager, I know we spoke at length about this issue right here and how it impacts everybody that live around the park, north, east, south, and west. So we just have to identify what the issues are, what the neighbors are talking about, and they have been talking about it for about 4 years now. And the number one was always SCAD students who park their cars and they leave them there, but they use the SCAD transportation around the entire district.
Yeah.
So, but that take away a lot of parking from the residents who live down on Gordon Street, Whitaker, Wahlberg, Bolton, Hall Street, all around those areas that we have our residents live. We have to have a conversation with SCAD about that, because I know that when some of the students are there, they tell them don't drive your vehicles.
Right.
You have to use SCAD transportation. But if we pay attention to what's happening on today, the SCAD students are moving out. I've been looking at all around the city, they have parents picking them up. So if we look at the date of today to the day they move back in and look at what our parking grid looks like between those 2 times, then we'll have a real conversation with SCAD. But then I also want to address what Whitaker and Drayton Street. We have to continue to understand that we are a city that have to at any given time evacuate. So if we turn those streets into north-south streets, then we have to realize that we have to do a contra-turn and turn all our streets back into those artery thoroughfares to get people away from here, because we never know We are still trying to address flooding issues, and some of those streets do have historic flood issues. So those are some of the questions that we have to have with our neighborhood association, not only people who've moved here from other places and they want it to look like they want the grid to look like, but we have to talk about some of the people who've been here a numerous amount of years, and they've invested in it, and the return on the investment is seeing all these amenities that happen in the community. But the amenities that happen is being able to park in front of your house or have city services come at a reasonable time and address issues that's happening, anything south of Gordon Street or anything that's happening downtown. But we have to be very, very careful at the conversations, because I understand the last time they had this conversation with some of our stakeholders, it didn't go well. And it left a real bad taste in the mouth of some of our members of the downtown region. But I know that we do have partnerships with our cathedrals, we have partnerships with our schools, and we also have partnerships with some of our church organizations. But we have to think about everybody holistically and how they're going to move, to the mayor's point, how they're going to move. We have some people that live downtown, they have to park 2 or 3 blocks away and then drive around the neighborhood a couple of times just to find some place to park. We had one guy who called and said that there's a moving truck parked there, and they were 3 or 4 streets over because they didn't want to park where there was a meter, where they were metered. But then we have to have another conversation of parking, how are we allowing construction crews to put out these big dumpsters that take 3 or 4 parking spaces away. So there's a lot of conversation that really still has to be had, because there's a lot of instances where people are being assaulted, or people are being targeted, or they don't know what's going on, or even in the rain, they have to park 2 and 3 blocks down. I just have a lot of questions to it, and I'm not ready to move forward with it until we really address it, or until we really look at how SCAD is moving out and how it impacts the community and when they move back in. Because if you look at Abercorn Street and that big dormitory they have over there, that dormitory has over 300-400 kids in there, and everybody bring a car. It really floods the community, and also the hotels inside those grids. They use parking spaces also, but they were supposed to, when they spoke with the neighborhoods, they were supposed to put in considerations when they built those hotels, or they updated the hotels, that those parking spaces were to be a part of their construction plan. So all of these things are just something to put on the horizon for just for some consideration.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think the Parking Matters plan is designed to address these issues where we have non-resident, and I'm including students who are not supposed to have cars or vehicles and don't have the right to a residential sticker, or commercial activity, or hotel guest, or short-term vacation rental guests, et cetera, where, you know, what the issue that we're facing now without expanding the parking restrictions is we have unmetered, unrestricted parking, which all of those types of individuals and drivers can use that public right-of-way to park unrestricted.
Even with campers? I mean, I think we have to look at.
So we have some ordinances around that, but what I'm saying is when you meter those spaces, when you meter and restrict those spaces, then now you're creating real churn, right? So where you might have somebody who is, let's say, a hotel guest, find an unrestricted parking spot on East Gwinnett Street, and keep their car parked there for 3 or 4 days. Well, they can do that because it's unrestricted parking. What Parking Matters study recommends is that the city expand those parking restrictions so that now those areas of town which are currently unmetered would be metered, and residents would have residential parking passes like we do in other zones that they can park for free there in those parking spaces and use those parking, but that people without those parking passes placards there's a restriction there, right? So they're either having to continue to pay for parking, which is, gonna be priced appropriately to keep people moving. So I think we can definitely, I think it's a great idea, Alderman, to start right now and really, and I'm looking at Kim, to look at these areas and do some studies around when SCAD is on summer recess, how does parking demand change in these areas where we have SCAD dormitories, and to understand that. And I do understand the construction allowance where we're giving construction and redevelopment the permits to occupy those spaces. And I can definitely come back with a workshop on how our development services views that and what opportunities we have to limit the amount of public right-of-way that's taken up by construction activity. I do think that for a large part of your concerns around non-residential parking use, especially in the Victorian and Thomas Square neighborhoods, that the Parking Matters recommendation is really addressing the heart of those concerns by metering that parking. And so that those non-residential users have to pay for that parking, and as a result are incentivized to move or get another parking option.
Well, I'm comfortable with that. I just want to make sure we have to come up with a plan as to make sure we give every resident a placard or two that they can identify.
Well, let me to that point, I'll get you in one moment, Alderman Bell. Well, who says that our response has to be static? Why can't it be seasonal? Why can't, we do know that after graduation, things change. So, I know it takes some work, but I think our best response would be in response to the actual situation at hand. Because we do know from this period to this period, we know that visitor counts go up, we know when our slowest points are, we know when we have more students here, we know when they move in. And so maybe we can be a little bit more fluid in terms of where and when we allow that to be able to address that, which might help some of the needs that we have.
Mayor, point well taken. I think we go back to maybe we should have had the Parking Matters plan again that we workshopped with council, where we've done these very long studies on parking demand there, and it crossed seasons, and we understand kind of the parking demand in these areas. And so I will get that back out to council, and happy to talk.
I guess my question is it your belief that it's fluid enough to be able to address what Alderman Leggett's concerns are?
I think that the recommendations that are in the Parking Matters study about where it wants to expand parking restrictions and how in each of those three zones are sound.
Okay.
And I think that it's not targeting like the work, because the other thing we're not trying to park for the busiest day. Right? That's never the goal. We're trying to create a parking policy and plan for the most normal use of those areas. So there are gonna be days where if there's a big event, or Saturday mornings with, the farmer's market, where parking is always gonna be at a premium there. But what we're trying to make sure is we've got parking restrictions that create enough churn that on a Tuesday night,
You can find.
residents aren't struggling to find parking, or on a Thursday morning when St. Vincent's Academy is in class, that residents won't feel like they can leave, that this is not the right time to go grocery shopping because they don't want to give up their parking spot.
Okay, sorry, Alderman Bell.
Oh, I was just going to say, I agree with, the fact that parking demands change in the Victorian district, particularly around Forsyth Park, for about a 2 to 3 block, radius. But I would, and yes, I would agree with the Alderman that you may want to pull out the studies that, actually track how the demand changes in the summer when SCAD is gone, or over a major holiday like Christmas and New Year's, that time of the year. But I would hesitate, banking on a fluid kind of arrangement. It's hard enough, believe me, for some of ours, the alderwoman mentioned the seniors, it's hard enough for them to remember the rules on when you can, which days you can't park on this side of the street or that. If you start making some changes to summertime versus fall, it could be a little bit problematic. But I would also say that for folk who violate parking rules in terms of vehicles parking for an extended period of time, of course, these are not residents, and I'm just speaking about Bolton Street where I live. I will tell you that there are block self-appointed captains or whatever who look out for the block and the neighborhood, and if they're not calling me or calling the police, I bet you they know you, but they probably even know you by name and have your number too. But there are folk who will reach out and let you know that this car or this truck has been parked here for 5 or 6 days and you need to come, ticket it or tow it or whatever. So I don't say, I'm not including myself in the we, but there are folk who will look out for the welfare. Oh, yeah.
You know you included.
Oh, they called me and asked me to do something about it.
All right, so, have we made sufficient forward progress to have them go forward?
I'm with you, Mr. Mayor.
I thought you wanted them to,
That was just a different thing. I want him to
Let's see your sign. Let's see your sign. I see 3, I see 4, I see 5, I see 6. Go forth.
So we will continue these conversations and prepare for ordinance agendizing in August. If there are any hiccups that we see, we will let council know. And Alderman, I will work on a workshop around development services and the permitting of public rights of way for construction to talk about that issue specifically. Thank you. Okay, thank you, council. Sure, I am. Thank you. So we're going to, talking about first downs, we're going to call an audible real quick and we're going to talk about the River Street Vision Plan while Julie Musselman, who's the executive director of the Savannah Waterfront Association and the Savannah Waterfront Community Improvement District, to talk a little bit about the River Street Vision Plan that the CID created and then gifted to the city. So, Julie, thank you so much for joining us. Oh, sorry, Julie, thanks so much for joining us. And this will be a joint presentation by Faye and Julie.
Hey, thank y'all so much for allowing me to be here today. I'm a little under the weather, so I'll make it short. Savannah's Waterfront Community Improvement District could not be more pleased with the partnership that we have developed with the City of Savannah, not only in creating this vision plan together and building on all the previous work that previous plans had brought to light, but now as we move into the implementation of some substantial changes to our waterfront that are going to allow for more connectivity of our pedestrians and better management of all of the ways that people move around the waterfront area. We've been working very closely with Faye and her team on the transportation study that has already taken place, on the surveying that is underway right now, and we are ready to bring this vision plan to council for adoption and also bring to you our first memorandum of understanding between the city and the CID for some projects that we can go on and start running with while the redevelopment is being bid out and different sections of it are being worked on. So I'm here to answer any questions. I know we all had in-depth meetings together, and I think we're ready to go. Faye, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I'm going to go back one slide. I know how important it is. We've all invested time, and this is a core part of the city's values now and what we do. We always anchor back into GPS, so I wanted to be sure we backed up for just a moment and pointed out that this project and this partnership is a key part of how we develop world-class livable environment and infrastructure that not only serves the businesses and the folks who work at those businesses and the folks who live in that area along the waterfront, but also all of those who use it, whether it's our folks who live here, who go and enjoy that area, or folks who are visiting with us. Julie's already pointed out, and we have shared this with you previously, and I know she's given you copies of this, as she pointed out. I'll reiterate again that through the Savannah Moves plan, we have been coordinating very closely because we know that the work that is going to be done on River Street needs to also be anchored in a really solid mobility infrastructure so that everyone of any ability is able to use that infrastructure there successfully. So we're really focused on how we improve ADA accessibility, how we continue to make that connection into multimodal infrastructure, and so forth. So we're excited about that. So next steps, I think Julie's already considered this. We have not put dates on these yet, but look forward to your direction and that of the city manager today, but to bring forward to council the adoption of the vision and implementation plan. That memorandum of agreement, as Julie mentioned, that initial agreement would focus on their leadership to lighting, ironwork, and refuse enclosure projects. And then while they're doing that, the city is going to continue to be focused on the design services needed for the multimodal path that will serve end-to-end on River Street. We currently have underway a full what's called SU, or subsurface utility engineering survey work for end-to-end, so we'll know everything that's there so that our full coordination with all of our partners throughout the city, whether it's water or parks or whomever that has infrastructure there, and we have lots of things, of course, that are under the ground, and also looking at the bulkheads that underlie River Street, making sure that we're looking at all those things you don't see, but it's really important that they're going to work effectively with what's going to happen on top, especially with the vision plan. So with that, we seek your direction on the adoption and so forth. Mr. City Manager?
Yeah, thank you so much. And just to reiterate, the Community Improvement District is a state authorized agency. They tax themselves. That's why we're able to partner with them on these public infrastructure projects.
Well, let me first of all thank this council, Jay. You know, the CID was it's a vision move. You know, it's the first one we've had here, but it really allows some great and unique things to occur. So thank you, council, for approving it. Julie, you all have done a masterful job. To pay extra money. But I think the reality is for us, and I'll tell you, she came to my office with this big box, and I'm thinking she'd bring me a gift. It was a freaking book.
Nice.
Yeah, but it showed the amount of work and the amount of detail and the amount of care and the amount of engagement that they have done. This is how we want things to come to us, Jay. When the homework has already been done, the conversations have already been had, and they acted as if the way we want, and the way our city staff acts.
Right.
You know, you hear us, you go back, you come back. You hear us, you come back, and it takes a lot longer, but then you have a product that we can live with. I am so excited for River Street, which is literally our living room, so to speak. And, you know, it's in need of a lot of tender, loving care. And I think, in my opinion, that document really spells out a very well thought out process to be able to get there. So, you know, I think you covered all the bases. As you know, I didn't really have any questions because every question that I had, you seem to have anticipated it. And so I just want to thank you and your team, Julie, for work well done.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Julie, you all did a phenomenal job. I had the opportunity to go to Pompano Beach, Florida last week to lay my ex-husband to rest. And I went on their beach. And some of the things that you all want to plan for River Street, I saw it. And I was so impressed, and I was like, this is what she's talking about. And you know, me and you had the conversation, long conversation, to discuss some of the concerns that I had. And I'm sure that you all will consider and make those things happen. But I want to applaud to you and the committee on a phenomenal job. That book, that's a keepsake. So thank you. Thank you. And I'm so happy that this is going to be accessible to everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter if you on crutches, a wheelchair, or whatever, you will be able to go and enjoy our River Street. So,
And it belongs
thank
to
you.
everyone.
Yes,
The
it
waterfront
does.
belongs to everyone.
Everybody. There you go. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Alderman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Julie, you know, it's been a tug of war and a struggle. I agree with everything you have in your master plan for River Street. But as I share River Street with the first district and portions of the third, that the issue that we are having, that I'm hoping that the city manager heard before, that we were talking about nightlife and the traffic that goes down River Street. If there's any way, Mr. City Manager, to talk about putting up some ballots to stop traffic at certain times of night, because when you're down there and people are driving 30 miles an hour on cobblestones, it's just a matter of time before somebody hits something.
Yeah, we've got that on the list for sure, and the transportation study looked at that, but when we go from there to the design phase, that's when really the rubber meets the road as far as exactly what type and where, how they connect in with SPD and fire. All of those details are yet to be worked out, but absolutely, that is part of the consideration, yes, sir.
And we specifically had those kind of intermittent closures included in the transportation plan, the Savannah Moves transportation plan element for River Street. And so as Julie just described, how they're gonna work and when they can be activated and what methods we use to do that in terms of whether it's bollards or barricades or whatever, all of that is still in process, but absolutely on the table for solutions.
I know it's nice to ride down River Street, but you know, you appreciate it better when you walk.
Right.
So there's a lot
But
of.
if you
there's a
can't
lot-
walk.
If you can't walk.
Right, well, you got to have.
But a lot of that, if you can't walk, a lot of this addresses it. And I am looking forward to our investment with the hotel motel, when we put up some wave signage that we were talking about, so people know where they are, where they're going. And I hopefully just take pictures, but, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Alderman Shabazz and Alderwoman Miller Blakely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Julie? Hi there. I appreciate the work that you all have done.
Thank you.
And look forward to the implementation of the design, the engineering, and on to the construction. Good job.
Thank you.
Alderwoman, Alderwoman?
Oh, yeah. I'm particularly interested in this, the commercial and the people, great job, right? And so we know we got some money for Skidaway. And so I'm interested in making that be the litmus test or the design pattern for something similar to that. We're getting this SPOSH money, and we want to sit under umbrellas and pet dogs too in the 3rd district, right? And so with this type of plan and engagement, involvement, we know that it works, but it's the leadership that makes the difference. And it looks like you put a lot of work and effort in it to get from the east to the west and the middle to come to some type of agreement and actually stand on that agreement. That was remarkable work. You know how I feel about you, my girl. I appreciate everything you do down there. And we want to have these conversations, Mr. Melger, about the same thing and the possibilities as we move forward on Skidaway. We want the same kind of thing to happen for Midtown that's happening at downtown. It's a community partnership investment and community partnerships. We keep telling people every day that they work, and so glad to have you a member of our partnership with the city. Thank you so much.
I consider myself a CID expert, as I only work with one here. in Savannah, but if there's any help that we can lend, if there's a group of core businesses on, and property owners on Skidaway that we can lend any, assistance to, very happy to do that.
Yeah, thank you so
just
much.
let me know.
Well, you know I will. Don't
That's
tell them
where I
while
grew
we're
up,
buying
so
that.
I love Skidaway.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to share the love. Really, I wanted to commend you of being a model member of our business community and a model Savannian. And look at what we can accomplish when we work together out in the open in partnership.
Right.
You had your objectives, we have ours. We aligned them together, and look at what we can do. And that's the true value of working together. We see you. We see you showing up. We see you here in the room and when you don't have an item on the agenda.
Yeah.
And that matters. Your work, your hard work paid off. And I remember that long walk when we were, maybe the earliest days in office, identifying some of these when it was just a dream. And now we're bringing it into reality. So congratulations. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Very
Let me lift this, and maybe I think might be some other opportunities in our space, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Melvin. We say Savannah, and in the end we say for all. River Street has not been accessible for all.
That's right.
If you are mobility challenged, if you are more senior, you don't get to enjoy, if you're in a wheelchair, you don't get the opportunity to enjoy what other people get to enjoy. And although I'm a firm, make sure Luciana is not in the room, although I'm a firm lover of history, I think history has to also make sense. And, we want people to be able to experience, everyone experience our city regardless of their ability. And so where we find opportunities to make improvements around, just outside of this, but around, it helps with accessibility. I challenge you all, some years ago, I think we worked with Life Incorporated, but we were given wheelchairs. And we were to traverse downtown in a wheelchair for 4 hours, I think it was. And I think by the time my wheelchair flipped over in front of the CBS on State Street, because I was going up and it went boop, it went right on over. It was terrifying. And so, we have an historic city, but I don't think it has to be historical. And so where we can find opportunities to supercharge our efforts here by making sure that the accesses, the approaches are accessible, I think that's a capital opportunity that we can take advantage of.
Yes, sir. I agree, and I think, if Luciana were here or Jessica were here, our preservation
choke me
officer.
out. She's like, no!
No, she would not. She would tell you that the best way to preserve a space is to make sure that it's usable.
Right.
And that's what this plan does, and so we're really excited. And let me give a plug. This is the first, and I serve on the board of the CID. I'm very proud to be on that board. It's the first community improvement district outside of the metro Atlanta area.
That's right.
And we could use a few more in this city. So kudos to Julie and to Ainsley and to the entire team. Chelsea Williams, who really got this going, and is really, I think, a call to other business districts who can do similar things and want to partner and provide better support for those areas. So thank you. So with this, Mayor, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Julie, thank you for the presentation. Congratulations on this huge accomplishment. Like Nick just said, you all walked around since we got elected. We're talking around 2020 with the concept.
Yeah.
And for you to go to that, from that to this, is amazing. But it's just congratulations on all the work that you placed into this. And we're gonna call you on that CIP professional expert thing. We're gonna call you on that.
And we have resources with the other ones in Atlanta and the folks that helped us get started. So if there's any other group in any of your districts that wants to have a conversation, we'll lay out all of our steps and how we got to where we are, and absolutely willing to help any of your business groups that would like to consider something like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is your sign regarding this?
Great, thank you.
Forward.
Thank you, council. We will,
One direction.
we will agendize this along with the MOA for the work that they'll partner with the city on as soon as that MOA is
Probably second
completed.
meeting in June.
Okay, so let's look for that in
Second
June.
meeting what?
In June, second meeting in June.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
So to be clear, we don't have to invest a penny, just our time and energy and saying great job?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Let's vote on that today.
On the other side of my office, with the nonprofit, we are the city's partner in producing the Independence Day celebration every year. This year it's the 250th, so the celebration encompasses more than just July 4th. I sent all of you an email. The Clydesdales are coming.
Yeah.
They're coming. That's our first big event for the
Yeah.
250th, and I invited you all to a reception there at Davin Park. Councilman Pertee, I know you can't attend, but if any of you can attend, please join us. We're
Yeah.
gonna be able to see these horses
I
live in
know,
the
we haven't had the
wow.
Clydesdale here in a while.
Christmas on the river too.
Yeah, well,
And they know,
Thank
they're
you
like,
so much.
they walk around with attitudes. You ever saw them?
I'm watching them.
Yeah, I mean, you see them in parades, and other horses are there, and the Clydesdales walking like,
Yeah, it is, like, yeah, we here.
yeah, I mean, they just know that they're just like special.
So we'll move from one jewel of the city to another and talk about the Forsyth Park Master Plan. And we've got our Senior Director for Park and Tree, Gordon Denny, to walk us through some of these opportunities. Gordon?
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council,
Good
Mr. City
afternoon.
Manager. I'm going to speak to you about the Forsyth Park Master Plan. But first, I would like to discuss how this master plan aligns with the city's strategic plan. On this slide, you're going to see how there's two specific instances where this master plan aligns with our GPS Goal 4, develop world-class livable environments and infrastructures, specifically using urban and architectural design and the management of built and natural environments to improve quality of life and public safety, as well as strengthen and expand existing initiatives to preserve historic sites, restore historic buildings, and further promote Savannah's cultural history. So now some of you may recall participating in the Forsyth Park Master Plan process back in 2020 and 2021. This master plan was created as a long-term vision and roadmap for the future of Forsyth Park, with a focus on community feedback, professional recommendations, and preservation of the city's, the park's historic integrity and tree canopy. The process developed over a 7-year period with city leadership and staff involvement throughout. There was an 11-month community engagement process, which resulted in over 4,500 citizen surveys. And as a result of all of that, we received a 300-page long-range vision with standards for materials, fixtures, and maintenance. This master plan was gifted to the city in 2023, but never adopted by City Council. Currently, the city uses it as a guideline for work being done in Forsyth Park and for proposed work within the park. Since accepting the master plan as a gift, the city has done the following projects. In 2024, we renovated the basketball courts. In 2025, we did repairs and resurfaced the play safety surfacing at the Rotary Club playground. We restored the Forsyth Fountain, and just earlier this year, we cut the ribbon on the shade garden adjacent to the fragrant garden. These are all huge successes and are actively enjoyed by so many people each and every day. If you go by, you'll see the shade garden. There's always someone sitting on a bench, reading a book, enjoying the space. Currently, we have plans for renovating the tennis court. That'll be on, I believe, the council agenda today about resurfacing the courts. There's been some splash pad repairs that are scheduled, and there's also finalizing a proposal to be brought to council regarding the gathering space project being proposed by the Rotary Club. Also, you will see a few projects that we plan to work on next. These are the lighting replacement for the basketball and tennis courts, a future plan to replace the splash pad, installing fitness equipment on the south end near the basketball courts, lighting replacements and electrical upgrades to the pedestrian lighting around the park, and restoration of the fragrant garden. One of the exciting things about the plan for restoration is the consideration on how we're going to make it accessible, because as it stands now, the only way in there is steps, but we have a plan to make an alteration to allow for a ramp, which would then make this space accessible to all. But each and every one of these projects utilize the master plan as its guideline. So as such, what we are coming forward with is we're looking to begin conversations with some of our stakeholders, with the DNA, the VNA, and the Conservancy about bringing this up to council for a formal adoption. And that's it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Gordon, before it possibly make it to council, I know that some of the neighborhood associations don't want it to be just about them. They want it to be a holistic thing for the entire community to formally bring that forward, so everybody has a voice in it, and give it the same type of consideration that we gave everything else that just came before us. Because I mean, I'm looking forward to. We already put it in for the new basketball court. We got the new tennis court coming in, but the issues that a lot of people are having around the seating and how it will be addressed with the splash pad and everything, but the adopting of the master plan itself, I think there's some issues in there that a lot of the residents and our stakeholders around the park and who visit the park, I won't say around the park, who visit the park may have, because I don't think that we're even talking to some of our visitors, just random people, or what they would see or what they like about the park. So I look forward to all of this everything except just adopting the master plan as it is right now. I just want to make sure that we have everybody's input, including council, everybody that used the park historically, have used the park, or what the park can entail. So I appreciate that.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I think what we're seeing here, when we met with that committee, it was during COVID, because we did those Zoom meetings, and I thought those ladies had done a great job on the plan. But this was right before we did the GPS. So what we could see here now is how we were doing things prior, and then how we are now trying to put citizens first. So although they did a really good job, since you sort of caught in between, I'd say talk to more of the stakeholders, at least in the area, It is a city asset, citywide asset, but I didn't see anything when they presented it that would have been limiting, unequitable to anybody in the city. I thought they had done a pretty good job, but we are now approaching these things a little differently. So.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
I see here, thank you, Gordon, for your presentation. I see here where the Rotary Club is doing the gathering space project.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is awesome. How do, say for instance, somebody wants to adopt a particular area in the park. How do we go about that, Mr. City Manager? Because I know there are a lot of organizations that would love to have something in that area that says, we adopted this or we supported this, you know?
Really great question, and I'll take a stab and Gordon can fill in. So the lesson that I've learned about Forsyth Park particularly is anything we do in Forsyth and I've like fallen trapped to this, is like, oh, this sounds like a great idea, people are gonna love it. And they all love it, but but people are very protective of the park. And
Let
they're.
me stop you right there. We own the park, right? The city owns the park.
The citizens, that's right, but I just mean to say
Right.
that it's anytime we talk about doing any project in Forsyth Park, just to Alderwoman Lanier's point, to Alderman Leggett's point, there's stakeholder, like people feel invested in that park, and there's a lot of stakeholder engagement that needs to be done to do that. I think that in the instance of the Rotary Club, and the Gathering Place is a partnership by the Rotary Club of Savannah and the Metro Rotary Club, so 2 Rotary Clubs locally. The Rotary Club for Savannah also did a project years ago with the accessible playground that's right next to the restaurant in the park. The way that we would do that is through a MOU with the city. And that will come to city council, I think the next council meeting, Joe? Yes, sir. So June 11th, city council will have on their agenda the MOU for the Gathering Place, which will be an MOU with the Rotary clubs and the city about how we would move forward with utilizing their donation to improve the park. So anybody, any organization who wants to raise money for a particular improvement, that would be the way to do it, is to contact Gordon Denny in Parks and Tree and start to have a conversation with the city. The city also approved a MOU with the Forsyth Park Conservancy Group, which is a group of stakeholders for the park who wanted to have a formalized relationship with the city so that they could raise money and donate that money to the city in order to do projects that are aligned both with what the city wants to do and what this organization wants to see happen in the park. So all of those are the right ways. So it's going to take an MOU to do those things. Okay. What I think is important about, and I hear councils will have to do more engagement on the public art master plan, but what that master plan is going to say to anybody who wants to participate in the park are, these are the types of improvements that we want to see in the park. So if organization C wants to say, oh, well, the fitness, the outdoor fitness stuff, that would be something that my organization would love to be a part of and raise money for, then they can see that in the plan and say, this is where we want to get involved, and let me see if I can work with the city to raise some money and help match and get that done for Forsyth Park. So that's why I think the master plan, if we get to a place where we've done enough public engagement and people are supportive of the master plan, that will help drive other organizations who want to be a part of the improving of Forsyth Park will be really helpful. And we need to do master plans also for Daffin Park and Mohawk Park,
right.
And our other large city parks, so that we have an understanding of what we want to see in those parks, because when we tell the community what we want to see, we do get responses from people who want to support and help.
Well, I know I met with the Rotary Club, and we didn't tell them, they told us. So I'm just saying, if somebody else has an idea, then they could have the conversation with you or the city or whatever.
And I will say the Gathering Place is contemplated in the master plan that was gifted to us. So but yeah, point taken. Yes,
exactly. I just want the community to know that they can be a part of the planning. Call Park and Treat. Yes, thank you so much. Okay.
Anyone else?
And hurry up and fix that splash pad, please. Put that on the fast track.
Yes, I discussed that last week.
All right, what is your thought regarding this?
That's good.
Lady, Alderman, where are y'all?
All right, 2 hands on this one.
I'm okay with everything except what I said at the bottom. Consider formally adopting the master plan portion. I'm okay with everything up until we get to that. I'm not ready to go with adopting the actual master plan itself. But all them other projects ahead of that, we want to work on those. But if we adopt the master plan, there's some things in the master plan that I think the community still have to work on.
Well, I think the council's will is spoken. I think y'all just need to work that out before we get to it.
So
You have-
I
you
can,
have some time.
yes, sir, and I'll take that feedback. I think what we need to do is just throw a little GPS approach on it and make sure that we've got the right thing. And if we, and so let me take that back and see what process we'll do if we need the master plan and to get the right kind of community engagement and citizen-led effort on it so that council's comfortable moving forward. I will say that there will be a council action to reiterate at the next council meeting on the MOU with the Rotary clubs for the Herb Tribe Gathering Place. Okay, yes, sir, I got it.
All right.
All right, and then finally, we're gonna hear from Bridget.
Mr. City Manager, one more question.
Great job,
on
Mr.
this.
Denny.
Now, that master plan, if I can remember, that master plan, would it have somebody, a particular entity that determines who can use certain facilities on the park at a certain time? That's not in there?
No, ma'am,
Okay.
the city controls every aspect of the park. That was some misconceptions about it.
Right.
I think what we want to understand is that there are organizations who care deeply about that park and want to be a part of improving it. But the city, and city council's been clear with me, and I share the sentiment, the city controls the park. This is a city asset. This is for the people. And it's a public park for a public use. And we do not want to have the park privatized or controlled by another entity other than the people's government.
Sounds good, okay.
So I want to bring up Bridget Liddy and Ed Morrow in our planning and urban design departments to talk through where we are with the housing toolkit action items that we discussed at our very fun and fruitful housing toolkit road trip. So I will turn it over to Bridget and to Edward.
Good afternoon. Bridget Liddy with the City's Planning and Urban Design Department. It's a pleasure to be with you here this afternoon.
Who's this guy next to you?
And this is Edward Morrow.
Edward.
Freshly stolen, right?
That's what I was about to say.
Edward Morrow, Assistant Director of Planning and Urban Design. As always, very pleased to be here with you all today. Thank you so much.
Round of applause. So I wanted to, before we jump into where we are with our housing toolkit follow-up, wanted to let you know how this relates to the GPS. We've got several different goals that it relates to. The first one is goal number 2, invest in equitable community development and resilience. Excuse me. And that specifically has to do with tying back to the Savannah Housing Action Plan, which we are definitely working very closely with Martin Freddie and his team in reference to the work that we are doing. Rest assured that that's definitely happening. As well as goal number 3, we've got several objectives that it relates to. And goal 3, just to remind everybody, is expand economic access, opportunity, and vitality for all. And so when we go down the list for goal number 3, objective 3, strategy 1, it talks about different kind of planning efforts, specifically calling out the Southside retrofit plan. And you might remember we went on the tour, we kind of touched that site. In addition to that, there's goal number 3, objective 1, strategy 3, that talks about incentive programs as well as improving our permitting processes, which this would definitely play into. And then finally, the last goal and objective listed in strategy, promote the development of housing and commercial spaces near transit hubs. And that is definitely a priority as we are moving forward with our revisions. So before I turn it over to Edward to talk a little bit more in detail about where we're going with that proposal and that text amendment, I wanted to definitely give a shout out to John Anagnost, who is our planning manager, as well as Jessica Baldwin, our preservation officer, who are definitely working hand in hand with us, and as well as Edward. So I'll turn it over to you.
Very cool. Thank you, Bridget. Obviously, we're very familiar with kind of the terrain of our city, and we know that a one-size approach is not going to fit all in this case. And so mentally, I would like to kind of append this effort to some work that this council has already done. I will take us back to the affordable housing overlay, which of course focused on kind of our traditional context. We know that these are our built-out areas of the city, and our conversation was centered on missing middle housing and infill development. Of course, we then looked at ADUs, which are a great solution in our single-family districts. And so we're turning our attention now to what is kind of our new planning paradigm, nodes and corridors in essence. And so these text amendments that are presently in the care and concern of the Planning Commission, these are aimed at sort of amplifying opportunities along those nodes and corridors and creating the environment so that we're getting some redevelopment and some densification in those areas. And so actually the mayor threw out a really good idea there with the rideshare hubs, building those into that network. This is really a network and a framework. And so this is just the next iteration. We would definitely expect to see some housing densification along some of these nodes and corridors. This is where we see our jobs, where we see our amenities. And also we have some underperforming areas where we would expect the opportunity to redevelop these in ways that they can actually support where our community is now and provide some of our needed housing and new amenities. And so also with that new transit, what I'll call transit and trail-oriented development, a nod to Savannah Moves, and of course, amplifying our CAT service once we get that back where it should be. We want to make sure that we're getting coherent developments. And so not just with the rezoning not the rezoning, but the modification of uses in O and I and B zoning districts, we want to make sure that our standards promote coherent development. When you are in a transit-oriented development, you want your buildings to be closer to the street. You want to make sure that you have logical connections to your paths. You want to make sure that pedestrians can move freely through the site. And so it's a different style of development, and we want to make sure that developers are not hitting snags in their designs. And so many of these are aimed at ensuring that we do get building placement closer to the street, parking behind buildings, and sort of creating an environment where we want to walk, we want to use other forms of transportation other than vehicles, and of course we can circulate through various parts of our growing city. And so many of these are common sense modifications that we hope will move us toward having that complete portfolio as we attempt to densify our city and meet our housing challenges.
Thanks, Edward. And I'm just going to point out that picture is great because it's got a cat bus in front of City Hall, and we are moving forward with this stuff. So we first did our initial presentation with you all back in December. At that time, we were kind of taking our pen to paper and starting to work on the revisions. And that was when Edward was still at MPC, which was great. So he's intimately involved with the work that the end product that we're moving forward with. So as far as next steps go, we have submitted our text amendment to the Metropolitan Planning Commission in early May. We anticipate it being on the agenda in June. We're looking at June 23rd for when it will go to the Planning Commission. From there, with that recommendation, it will get forwarded on to you all to consider. As far as our outreach efforts, we have met with the Chatham County Housing Coalition as of yesterday. And we are also moving forward with meeting with the Home Builders Association in early June. If there are any other organizations or entities that you would like us to engage with, please let us know. We are more than willing to do that. In addition to that, as far as our housing toolkit, we are also working on the ADU efforts. We're going to try to come up with 2 to 3 prototype designs that will be readily available so people don't have to go through a building permit review process. They will already be pre-approved, as well as talking with our Housing Services Department about possible financing options for additional ADUs. So that's where we are. Thank you.
So we're going to continue to move forward on here. I think the big things that we'll be bringing to the community, again, is going to be what we heard in the bus tour, and what we have work to do on is expanding that affordable housing density overlay to new districts and to new neighborhoods. That requires having conversations with those neighborhoods and making sure that council is helping us talk about those issues with neighborhoods so that we've got the right kind of conversations going there. I think we all saw the products that were being produced when we stopped by the One Home, Bria Paxton's project, and we saw the kind of quality work and what we're actually talking about when we talk about that affordable housing density overlay. So we're looking out for those ordinances to come this summer, but also be looking for those conversations that the housing and the planning team is going to be having with other neighborhoods in other zoning districts so that we can expand those opportunities there. As we wrap up, Mayor, I want to give a preview as we go into the summer. Summer is finance time for City Council, and so I want to make a note that starting in June, we're going to be workshopping around FY25 budget closeout. So we have a discussion about how we closed out the last fiscal year. We're going to give a mid-year FY26 budget update. You'll also receive our annual comprehensive financial audit report, which is our third-party audit that we do every year. You'll receive that in the coming days. All good news, no findings, no qualified findings, very clean audit, as well as our federal audit as well came back with no findings, but we'll talk about all of those issues this summer, and we'll culminate the summer with a millage rate setting action, right? So every summer, every August, we set the millage rate that we base the next year's budget on. It's required by law. So we'll have those discussions and talk about where we are with that millage rate discussion this summer. Some other important workshops that we're scheduling this summer. Next, when we meet again, June 11th, we're going to have our homelessness partners here, our Interagency Council on Homelessness, as well as our Homeless Authority, to talk about this year's point in time count and the results of mainly City Council's actions and now county action and other partner actions as we continue to work on homelessness here in Savannah and regionally. I think there's some really good news to share about that, but also pointing to a lot of more work to do, but a lot of more of the same work that we're doing. We'll also have a workshop with our destination marketing organization, Visit Savannah, to talk about as they became, their allotment of hotel motel revenues increased as well when we increased our hotel motel revenue. And this is an opportunity to hear from them and learn and ask questions about how they're using those funds and what their strategy and vision is moving forward and how that aligns with City Council's vision.
That's June 11th also?
That is June 25th.
June 25th for Visit Savannah?
Yes. So just making sure that you're aware of what those workshops will be. Obviously, we are going to be on recess for the second meeting in July, but you'll hear a lot of financial updates, right, to set the stage for the millage discussion. We'll take that break, and when we get back in August, we'll have to jump back very quickly into making some decisions about our millage rate. So looking forward to our summer sessions.
Let me, and this was two things that have been administered under this administration that I'm proud of. Very small things make a big difference. First of all, prior to 2020, we had 26 meetings a year. So every 2 weeks. And as someone like me who used to live on the other side of that, staff is always, from tomorrow, getting ready for the next council. Now we meet on the second and fourth Thursdays, which there are times in which 2 times a year where there are 2 weeks in between our meetings. The other thing was we, in a conversation with the manager, the attorney, and the clerk, we decided to take out a meeting in the middle of the summer to allow, again, almost a better part of a month. This allows a couple of things. It allows staff to reset. Self-care is not selfish, and we have to make sure that our staff has the opportunities to spend time with their families and have time to be okay. We can't have them taking care of our folks and they're not okay. That's their first ministry to me is to themselves. And then also for you. Whoever lied and told you all before y'all got in office this was part-time work.
That's a lie.
Really.
From the pits of hell.
Nothing part-time about this.
But y'all believed the lie and got up here anyway. But the reality is that you spend a good, fair amount of time in this, doing what you do. It's not easy, it's hard, it's time-consuming. You're never off. And I wanted to make sure that you all had an opportunity to be able to plan your lives and be able to enjoy yourselves and just be able to go a week or two and not have to think about what's on the next city council agenda.
Thank you.
So I hope, I hope, but I hope that you will really use this time and plan that time after the first meeting to do something for you. You know, get the hell up out of Savannah. I mean, be able to do something.
You said it right.
Well,
Get the hell up out of Savannah.
Well, I will be, but mine is probably for the National League of Cities. That's the bad news. But this has really been a very good way for us to come back really energized to get back into the financial part of what we do and to end the year on a high note. So I want to thank you all for that, Mr. Manager, team. I want to thank you all. I think this is a good way for us to work. You're able to float something. We give you feedback. You go back, and then you come back, and then we move forward. As you see, I think everything that you put before us today, we have moved on.
That's right.
But it was because you brought it to us. You didn't ask for us to give direction that day. You gave us a chance to think about it and evaluate it. So I want to thank you and thank the team for that.
I have a comment.
Well, we have. Did we?
Sorry about that.
Y'all want questions?
You didn't see them? All four of them.
The funny part about it was Mr. Morrow thought that it was going to get easier for him. Now he's on this side. Nah, bro, we got more questions. Alderwoman Bell.
So it's not a question, really, I commended you. I noticed that under your outreach efforts, you're doing a presentation for the Home Builders Association. That is wonderful.
Yes.
To get the home builders involved, or at least make them aware of, the changes that we've made.
And I thank you for recognizing that. It's super important, and when we talk about home builders, a lot of people just think they do single-family development, but there are a bunch of them that are doing multifamily as well, so they are connected, and we've presented to them several times, but it's a great working relationship, so thank you.
Mr. Mayor Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Melder, when is the mid-budget meeting? Is that the one on June 11th?
No, it's August.
That'll be in August?
Well, we'll be talking about the, let me pull up my schedule. We will be, I've gotten about 700 emails since we've been sitting here. Okay. We'll be doing the mid-year and the budget closeout together on June 25th. That'll be along with the Visit Savannah. If I'm looking like we're going to be stretched for time, we may do if we're ready, may do the 25 year-end budget closeout on June 11th, where we're also doing the homelessness work, and then on the 25th, look at our 26 mid-year financial update, and then have our workshop with the Destination Marketing Organization. So I'm just trying to see what those discussions entail and make sure that we're managing the time correctly. And then when we come back in August, we'll have our millage rate.
Okay. Mayor Johnson, what is the dates that we will not be in session?
Our last meeting will be the first meeting in July,
We won't meet on the 23rd.
and then we won't have the second meeting in July. We'll get back together the first meeting in August.
Okay.
And I have the prayer.
And a question for you.
You have the prayer.
The last July meeting is July 9th, and we will not meet again until August 13th.
Oh, thank you.
July 9th.
Can you tell them thank you?
A question for you.
I'm gonna do this.
Are you planning to join the members of our Kappa Alpha sorority in Las Vegas?
I will be in Las Vegas.
So we will see you in Las Vegas during that period, though. We're not taking off. So during that July 23rd period. And let me say why. Because
be there
we
because
are
history will be made.
installing the international president of Alpha Kappa Alpha is a native Savannah.
That's right.
Who is it?
No.
Doc Wilson's daughter, Charlotta Wilson Jack.
You talking to me like I know them people.
You don't know Doc Wilson? Didn't you go to public school?
I know her, Julie, that's her.
That's all right. All right, ladies.
One quick thing.
Mr. Morrow.
Oh, Lord. Mr. Morrow.
Mr. Morrow. Did you say, was it Bridget? What did I say? We would present something to MPC. I was looking for
So we've submitted the application to MPC, and we're anticipating presenting to them, their planning commission, for a formal recommendation that will be brought to you all to consider. And that'll be, I think, June 23rd is the date. So we have a petition in, which is a text amendment for these changes, and it goes to the planning commission for review, and they also make a formal recommendation. That recommendation will come to you all in August or July. Yep, that will include the full text amendment. And all our text amendments go through that process.
And the homeowners association, are those the guys who was not, very much interested in inclusionary zoning? Are these the people they're not very much interested in IC?
So there are some individuals that are not interested in the inclusionary zoning, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to offer an incentive. One of the text amendments state that if you want to go up in height, you can go up in height if you provide affordable housing or another option. So we're trying to work that into the system so it's becoming a little bit more part of our mainstream, yeah. Our expectations, yep.
Alderwoman Wilder Bryan.
Mr. City Manager and Mr. Mayor, I know it was a big undertaking, but the tour that we did, when are we gonna do another workshop, mobile workshop on something
Planning another
else?
mobile workshop in the fall, when the weather's not gonna be oppressive.
On what?
It'll either, it might be a public safety or a recreation focus.
Both of them.
If you have ideas, that I'd love to do it. I did get a recommendation from council, I think it's a good one, on July 9th. We're gonna be doing a capital improvement projects overview, and we'll go do a little hard hat tour of the Gamble building. It'll be a little hot, but we'll go walk through and kind of look at where the construction is now.
It's amazing.
Yes, ma'am, you set your dress code.
I'll tell you this, the funny part about it was when we talked about it, the idea about doing a mobile tour, I won't tell you who, but some folks of our team said, they ain't gonna wanna do no mobile tour, and then y'all love the mobile tour.
Yes,
so,
it is.
So, more mobile tours.
When is the Gamble building tour?
Get us some gas masks
First week of July, possibly.
Okay.
All right,
I would like to suggest that we do a mobile tour of all of our parks.
Okay, yeah, we were looking at the Parks and Recreation.
Not all of them.
Yeah, all of
How
them.
many parks we have?
Many. How many parks we have, Gordon?
Yeah.
125 parks.
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, 25.
Drive by, you know, but we just need to know where our parks
Good
are.
idea.
Casual dress for the tour of Gamma building.
Okay.
All right, we stand in the recess until 2 o'clock. We have a light agenda, y'all, so, I mean, you all control how long we stay.
I have a,